Karen thought she was teaching a naughty child a lesson when she grabbed little Sophia's arm and broke it. She didn't know Sophia's daddy was a top police officer. The next day, Karen's picture was on TV as a criminal, and her whole life fell apart forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The call came at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that started like any other day. Deputy Commissioner Michael Rodriguez was reviewing case files when his phone buzzed with the school's number. His heart immediately sank because schools never called with good news during class hours. "Mr. Rodriguez, this is Principal Martinez from Sunshine Elementary. There's been an incident with Sophia. She's been taken to the hospital." The words hit him like a physical blow. "What happened? Is she okay?" "There was an altercation with one of our parent volunteers during lunch duty. Sophia's arm appears to be broken. She's at Memorial Hospital now with the paramedics." Michael dropped everything and raced to the hospital, his mind spinning with questions and fear. Sophia was his world, his precious 5-year-old daughter who still believed in fairy tales and asked him to check for monsters under her bed every night. The thought of her in pain made his chest tight with panic. He found Sophia in the emergency room, her tiny frame looking even smaller on the big hospital bed. Her left arm was in a temporary sling, and her face was streaked with dried tears. When she saw him, she started crying again. "Daddy? The mean lady hurt me really bad." Michael knelt beside the bed, gently stroking her hair. "Tell Daddy what happened, princess." Through her tears, Sophia explained how she had been playing with her friends during lunch when a woman started yelling at them for being too loud near the garden area. "She said we were bad kids and grabbed my arm really hard. I told her to let go, but she squeezed harder and twisted it. It hurt so much, Daddy." Dr. Chin entered the room with X-ray results. "Mr. Rodriguez, I'm afraid Sophia has a clean break in her radius. It's a significant fracture that will require a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. The break pattern suggests it was caused by a twisting force with considerable pressure." Michael's hands clenched into fists. Someone had hurt his little girl badly enough to break her arm. "Doctor, in your professional opinion, could this have been accidental?" Dr. Chin looked uncomfortable. "Given the location and nature of the break, it would be consistent with someone gripping and twisting a child's arm with substantial force. This isn't typically seen in accidental falls or bumps." After Sophia was fitted with a bright pink cast and given pain medication, Michael drove back to the school. His daughter was now sleeping in the back seat, exhausted from the trauma and medication. But Michael was wide awake and furious. Principal Martinez met him in the main office, looking nervous and apologetic. "Mr. Rodriguez, I'm so sorry about what happened. The volunteer who was involved has been suspended from all school activities pending investigation. I want to know exactly what happened and who did this to my daughter," Michael said, his voice deadly calm. "The volunteer is Karen Whitmore. She's been helping with lunch duty for the past month. According to witnesses, she became upset with a group of children who were playing near the school garden. She grabbed Sophia's arm and, well, you know the result." Michael knew that name. Karen Whitmore was the HOA president's wife from his neighborhood, a woman known for her complaints and demands for everyone to follow rules to the letter. She had filed dozens of violations against neighbors for minor infractions like leaving trash cans out too long or having grass that was slightly too tall. "Where is she now?" Michael asked. "She left after the incident. She claimed Sophia was being defiant and that she barely touched her. She seemed to think the whole thing was being blown out of proportion." Michael felt his anger rising. This woman had broken his daughter's arm and then dismissed it as no big deal. "I want to see the security footage." The school's security camera had captured everything. Michael watched in horror as Karen approached the group of 5-year-olds playing innocently near the garden. She was clearly agitated, pointing and yelling at them. When Sophia stepped forward, probably trying to explain they weren't doing anything wrong, Karen grabbed her arm with both hands. What happened next made Michael's blood boil. Karen didn't just grab Sophia's arm, she twisted it viciously while pulling the child toward her. Sophia's scream was audible even on the silent security footage. Other children scattered in fear while Sophia collapsed to the ground, clutching her arm and crying. The worst part was Karen's reaction. Instead of helping the injured child, she stood over Sophia and continued yelling, apparently blaming the 5-year-old for what had just happened. It was only when teachers came running that Karen finally stepped back. "I want copies of this footage," Michael said grimly. "And I want Karen Whitmore's contact information." "Mr. Rodriguez, I understand you're upset, but perhaps we should handle this through proper channels." Michael turned to face the principal, and something in his expression made the man step back. Principal Martinez, my daughter's arm was broken by an adult who was supposed to be supervising and protecting children. This isn't a school discipline matter anymore. This is assault on a minor and I'll be handling it accordingly. That evening, after tucking Sophia into bed with her new cast propped on pillows, Michael made some calls. As deputy commissioner of the city police department, he had resources and connections that most parents didn't have. But he was going to handle this by the book, no special treatment, no shortcuts. Karen Whitmore was going to face the full consequences of what she had done. His first call was to Detective Sarah Chin, one of his best investigators who specialized in crimes against children. Sarah, I need you to open a case file. My daughter was assaulted at school by a volunteer, and I have video evidence. Michael, I'm so sorry. Is Sophia okay? Broken arm, but she'll heal. The woman who did it won't be so lucky. I'm sending you everything: hospital records, security footage, witness statements. I want charges filed. Consider it done. What's the suspect's name? Karen Whitmore. And Sarah? She has no idea who she messed with. The next morning, Michael took a personal day to be with Sophia. She was still in pain but trying to be brave, asking when she could go back to school and play with her friends. He assured her that the mean lady would never hurt her again, but inside he was planning Karen's downfall with the precision of a military operation. His phone rang around 10 a.m. It was his neighbor, Mrs. Garcia, who lived across the street. Michael, I heard about what happened to Sophia. I'm so sorry. But I thought you should know, Karen Whitmore is at the HOA meeting right now complaining about problem children at the school and saying parents need to teach their kids respect. Michael's jaw tightened. Is that so? She's telling everyone that she barely touched Sophia and that children today are too soft. She's making it sound like Sophia was being a troublemaker who deserved to be disciplined. Thank you for letting me know, Mrs. Garcia. I think I'll attend this HOA meeting after all. Michael rarely went to HOA meetings, but today would be different. He put on his full dress uniform, the one that clearly displayed his rank and authority. If Karen wanted to play games, he'd show her what real power looked like. The community center was packed with neighbors when Michael walked in. Karen was at the front, gesturing dramatically as she spoke to the crowd. These children have no discipline, no respect for authority. When I tried to correct the behavior of some unruly kids at the school, one of them faked an injury to get attention. Parents today don't teach their children. Excuse me, Michael's voice cut through the room like a blade. Every head turned to look at him in his impressive uniform. Are you talking about my daughter? Karen's face went pale when she saw him, but she quickly recovered her composure. Oh, Mr. Rodriguez. I was just explaining to everyone that children need proper guidance. Your daughter was being disruptive and... My 5-year-old daughter was playing quietly with her friends when you grabbed her arm and broke it, Michael said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent room. I have the security footage if anyone would like to see exactly what happened. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Karen's husband, David, who was the HOA president, looked mortified. Karen, you said the child fell? She did fall. After she tried to pull away from me. I was just trying to get her attention. Michael pulled out his phone and connected it to the room's display screen. Let's see what really happened, shall we? The security footage played on the big screen, and the room fell completely silent. The video clearly showed Karen approaching the children aggressively, grabbing Sophia's arm with both hands, and twisting it violently. Sophia's scream and subsequent collapse were devastating to watch. Several people in the audience gasped. One woman started crying. Karen's face turned bright red as she realized her lies had been exposed in front of the entire neighborhood. That video doesn't show everything, Karen stammered. She was being defiant and... She's 5 years old, Michael said coldly. And you broke her arm because she was playing too loudly for your liking. But here's what you don't know, Mrs. Whitmore. I'm deputy commissioner of the city police department, and you've just committed aggravated assault on a minor. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Karen's face went from red to white as the implications hit her. Detective Chen will be arriving at your house tomorrow morning with a warrant for your arrest, Michael continued. You'll be charged with assault, child endangerment, and whatever other charges the district attorney decides to file. Your actions at the school have been reported to Child Protective Services, and they'll be investigating your fitness to be around children. You can't do this to me, Karen shouted. I'm an upstanding member of this community. I volunteer at the school. Not anymore, you don't, Michael replied. And Mrs. Whitmore? The next time you want to hurt a child, you might want to make sure their father isn't someone who's dedicated his life to protecting people from predators like you. David stood up, his face ashen. Karen, is this true? Did you really break a child's arm? The room watched as Karen realized her husband had believed her lies until this moment. Her carefully constructed image was crumbling in front of everyone she knew. David, I can explain. There's security footage, Karen. We all just watched it. You hurt a little girl and then lied about it. Michael gathered his phone and prepared to leave. The HOA might want to consider new leadership. I'd hate for this community to be associated with people who assault children and then lie about it. As he walked toward the door, he turned back one more time. Oh, and Mrs. Whitmore? Stay away from my daughter, stay away from the school, and stay away from me. Because if you come near my family again, being arrested will be the least of your problems. The next morning, Detective Chen called Michael with an update. We arrested Karen Whitmore at 8 a.m. She's being held on $50,000 bail. The DA is considering felony charges due to the severity of the injury and the fact that it was committed against a child. What was her reaction? She demanded to call her lawyer and kept insisting this was all a misunderstanding. She seemed shocked that there would be real consequences for her actions. Any chance she'll make bail? Doubtful. Her husband filed for divorce this morning and froze all their joint accounts. Apparently, he's been getting calls from neighbors and parents all night. The community is not happy with her. Michael felt a grim satisfaction. Good. What about the school? They've implemented new policies for volunteer screening and supervision. Principal Martinez called to apologize again and said they're reviewing all their safety protocols. That afternoon, Michael picked Sophia up from his mother's house, where she'd been staying while he dealt with Karen. Sophia was excited to show off her cast, which was now covered in colorful stickers and drawings from her cousins. Daddy, did you catch the mean lady? She asked as they drove home. Yes, Princess. She won't be able to hurt you or any other children ever again. Good. I didn't like her. She had mean eyes. Michael smiled sadly. His innocent little girl had learned a hard lesson about the world, but at least she would grow up knowing that when someone hurt her, there would be consequences. The local news picked up the story that evening. HOA volunteer arrested for breaking child's arm at elementary school. The reporter interviewed several parents who expressed outrage that someone trusted to supervise children had committed such a violent act. Karen's mugshot was shown on screen, and Michael noticed she looked nothing like the confident, authoritative woman who had terrorized his neighborhood for years. She looked small and defeated, finally facing the consequences of her actions. The story went viral on social media, with parents sharing their own experiences of adults who abused their authority over children. #Justice for Sophia started trending, with thousands of people expressing support for his daughter and calling for stronger protections for children in schools. A week later, the DA called Michael personally. We're offering Karen Whitmore a plea deal: 5 years probation, anger management classes, community service, and a permanent restraining order keeping her away from schools and children's events. She'll also have to pay all of Sophia's medical expenses and additional damages. What if she doesn't take the deal? Then we go to trial and she's looking at up to 10 years in prison for aggravated assault on a minor. Her lawyer is strongly advising her to take the plea. I want one more thing added to that deal, Michael said. A public apology to Sophia and a statement acknowledging what she did was wrong. I want her to own her actions. I'll make sure that's included. The plea hearing was scheduled for the following week. Michael didn't attend, he had no desire to see Karen again. But he heard from the DA that she had broken down in tears while reading her apology statement, finally understanding the gravity of what she had done. Sophia's arm healed perfectly, and within 2 months she was back to her normal, energetic self. She occasionally mentioned the mean lady, but mostly she seemed to have moved on with the resilience that children possess. The HOA elected new leadership, and David Whitmore moved out of the neighborhood shortly after his divorce was finalized. The new HOA president sent Michael a formal letter apologizing for Karen's actions and assuring him that the organization would never again tolerate behavior that endangered community members, especially children. Michael framed the letter and hung it in his office, not out of pride but as a reminder. A reminder that his job as a father was just as important as his job as a law enforcement officer. A reminder that protecting the innocent wasn't just his profession, it was his calling. 6 months later, Sophia started kindergarten at a new school with enhanced security measures and stricter volunteer screening. On her first day, she wore a t-shirt that read, "Daddy's Little Deputy," and carried herself with the confidence of a child who knew she was loved and protected. As Michael watched her walk into her new classroom, he thought about how the incident had changed both of them. Sophia had learned that bad things sometimes happen to good people, but also that there are always people willing to fight for justice. And Michael had learned that sometimes the most important cases aren't the ones that make headlines, they're the ones that protect the people you love most. Karen Whitmore served her probation without incident and eventually moved to another state. She completed her anger management classes and community service, but she never worked with children again. The incident had cost her everything: her marriage, her home, her reputation, and her standing in the community. But for Michael and Sofia Rodriguez, justice had been served. The little girl with the pink cast had taught her neighborhood that actions have consequences, and that sometimes the people who seem most powerful are actually the most vulnerable when they're forced to face the truth about who they really are. Years later, when Sofia was older and asked about what happened that day at school, Michael would tell her that she had been braver than any adult in that situation. She had told the truth even when it was scary. She had trusted her father to make things right. And she had shown everyone that no matter how small you are, you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. The mean lady who broke a little girl's arm had learned that lesson the hard way. But Sofia Rodriguez, the 5-year-old who refused to be silenced, had taught it with grace, courage, and the unshakable knowledge that her daddy would always protect her.